To the UK now, where Boris Johnson's new book is set to come out on October 10. So very soon. Don't rush to your bookshelves. There's so many spoilers in the headlines already. You barely need to read the book. You've got the best bits already. Surprisingly, he's chosen this book to reveal that he believed the Queen to have bone cancer before she passed away. Now, of course, this has, I believe, rightly gotten a lot of censure from people because this is something so inappropriate to reveal in your memoirs. This is something that, if true, the palace would have taken great pains to ensure that her personal, private health matters were hers alone. And he decides just to drop this on the world at large in a book that's supposed to be about his time in the PM's chair.
I think it's frankly pathetic. I mean, Boris Johnson is going back to his days as a journalist here, right? That's what he was before he was a politician. But when you are a journalist, you know that certain things are off the record. I mean, someone says to you, look, I'm telling you this off the record. So you either don't reveal that information or there is a way to reveal that information because they've told it to you because they want you to reveal it without revealing what the source is. It is well known that when you have discussions with the firm, as they call it in the UK, which is the royal family, that is all off the record.
Yes.
Boris Johnson is trying to sell books here by revealing information that he has no right to reveal. And I can't believe that he would think he would get away with it. I mean, if there is anyone in the world beyond the UK that is beloved, it is the Queen.
Yes.
And to reveal personal, private, medical information about the Queen. He says he knew for a year before her death that she had bone cancer. I think is a low act.
And we don't need to know and we don't want to know.
It was none of our business.
When we say rest in peace, we mean rest in peace. But he's got other stuff in the book as well. He's got a story in the book that he was recruited by the palace to talk to Harry, to try to persuade Harry not to leave the UK. So he had this manly chat, you know, manu a manu with Harry. But the palace has now come out and said, no, we gave him no such commission, no such thing happened. I mean, you did say very quickly in passing he's trying to sell books, and it's fairly obvious he's trying to sell books. That's what it's all about. He's not being employed as a journalist anywhere. He's lost his political employment, so he needs this to sell well. And he's had a look at Spare and he's thought, I can do as well as that. I can spill that sort of stuff. You know, that will sell 1 million copies. I'll be OK. I'll be able to buy the bigger country house, all that sort of thing.
But has the bloke no scruples?
No,
I mean,
no.
Look, sorry, and I say this as a journalist, former reporter myself. You know, journalists and politicians probably rank up there with used car salesmen and real estate agents when it comes to public perception. But, you know, does the bloke have no scruples to go, oh, look, I should probably leave that bit out of the book? About the Queen, for heaven's sake. I just cannot get over it. And he continues in this book. He's crapping all over everyone he can possibly find, including his replacement as Prime Minister, who, of course, was Rishi Sunak. And he says he was basically assassinated by Rishi Sunak, which, you know, is a bit of hyperbole. But again, he's got to sell books, I suppose. He writes in his new memoir, as I read his resignation letter that Sunak is talking about with its laden phrases, I murmured, at least internally, the dying words of Julius Caesar, Caesu technon, which is Latin for you too, child. If Caesar had 23 stab wounds from his assassins, I ended up with 62, in the sense that a grand total of 60 ministers decided to follow Saj and Rishi out the door. That, in the end, was why I had to go. I could still have built a government. I had enough straw to make my bricks. I mean, the bloke can't let go. You were deposed as Prime Minister, mate. Sunak ended up replacing you, and here he is trying to rewrite history. I could have held on. He's even gone so far as to suggest that if he was leading the Tories at the election a few months ago, 3 months ago, that he would have retained government. I mean, is the bloke properly delusional?
The size of his ego.
I have liked Boris Johnson for a long time.
He is a likeable chap
and I
on
was
some
glad,
scores.
I was glad when he became Prime Minister, but I think, like a lot of Conservative leaders, including ones here in our country, he turned out to be a squib. He signed up to every green policy he could find. And now he's trying to tell us, oh no, if they just left me in charge, it all would have been fine. Give it up.
And trying to blame Rishi for this. I mean, he literally writes of Rishi's resignation, it was worse than a crime. It was a mistake, both for Rishi and for the party. Never mind the country. So now it's Rishi's fault that the country has fallen into the Labor Party's hands. It's entirely Rishi's fault. If he hadn't walked out the door, the others wouldn't. Rishi led the charge according to this grand narrative that he's selling here. And were it not for him, he could still be Prime Minister.
There's a very simple message that is running through all of this. Boris Johnson is looking at us really seriously with his serious face and saying, I am important. I am very important. Take me very seriously, because Boris is very impressed by Boris. If Shakespeare was alive, he would write a play about me.
I'm sure he genuinely believes that. There's probably a line about it in his book.